The drive home that night felt longer than it ever had. My hands shook on the steering wheel, and my chest carried the weight of what I had just done. I told myself not to overthink it, that it was just a kiss, a fleeting moment I could bury and never speak of again. But the truth clung to me. I could still taste her on my lips, still feel the warmth of her hand against my skin. I walked into my house and saw my partner sitting on the couch, and for the first time, I couldn't look at her without feeling like a fraud. She asked if I was tired, if practice had run late, and I nodded, offering the safest answers I could. My voice betrayed nothing, but inside, guilt twisted like a knife. The days that followed were worse. Every time my phone buzzed with a message, I secretly hoped it was her. Every time I walked into training, I felt both excitement and dread at the possibility of seeing her again. And every night, when I lay next to the woman I was supposed to love, I thought about someone else. The more I tried to suppress it, the stronger it became. I knew I had crossed more than just a line. I had opened a door I could no longer close. It wasn't only about the kiss. That moment forced me to confront the truth I had been avoiding for years. I wasn't happy in my relationship. I wasn't being fulfilled, not emotionally, not romantically. Somewhere along the way, I had convinced myself that stability was enough, that routine and loyalty could replace passion and connection. But being with her, even for that brief instant, reminded me of what it felt like to be alive again. That scared me as much as it thrilled me. I didn't confess to my partner. I couldn't. The guilt was heavy, but so was the fear of destroying everything we had built. She didn't deserve betrayal, yet I couldn't undo it. I told myself it was a mistake, but deep down, I knew it wasn't just about impulse. It was about desire I had ignored, needs I had silenced, feelings I had buried because they didn't fit into the life I had chosen. When I reflect on it now, I don't frame it as a simple case of cheating. Infidelity is never that simple. It isn't always about lust or weakness. It's about cracks in a relationship that go unacknowledged until someone else slips into the empty spaces. She slipped into mine with ease and I let her. Maybe that says more about me than anything else. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever walk away from the life I've built, or if I'll stay and let this secret rot inside me. What I do know is that the kiss changed me. It reminded me that I am capable of wanting more, of needing more, and that realization is something I can't unlearn, no matter how hard I try. It happened on a night I wasn't prepared for. Practice had run later than usual, and by the time most people left, I was still there, finishing stretches, trying to delay the moment I'd have to go home and slip back into routine. She was still around too, gathering her things, and for a while it was quiet, almost uncomfortably so. But then we started talking, the kind of easy conversation that had become our habit. Only this time it drifted into more personal territory. She asked about my relationship, and I gave the safe answers. We're fine, we're stable, we've been together a long time. But even as I spoke, my voice lacked conviction. She noticed. She always noticed. I tried to turn the question back on her. And she smiled in that way that gave nothing away, but somehow still revealed everything. She said she admired the way I had always put my heart into everything. That even now, years later, she could still see that same spark. I don't know why, but hearing that from her felt like more than a compliment. It felt like a confession, like she was letting me know I wasn't the only one who felt something humming beneath the surface. The air shifted after that. She stepped closer, not much, just enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from her body. My chest tightened, my pulse quickened, and every rational thought in my head told me to pull back. But I didn't. Instead, I stayed, frozen in that tension, as if moving would break the fragile spell between us. She reached out, brushed a stray hair from my face, and the simplicity of that touch sent a shiver through me. I should have laughed it off, made a joke, but my body betrayed me. I leaned into her hand. The silence between us grew heavy, filled with everything we weren't saying. My mind screamed that this was wrong, that I had someone waiting for me at home, someone who trusted me. But then her eyes met mine, steady and searching, and I knew in that moment that if either of us broke away, the chance would be gone forever. She whispered something I barely heard, something about how she'd always admired me too, and that was all it took. I don't remember who leaned in first, All I know is that one second we were holding back and the next our lips met. It was soft, hesitant, but it carried the weight of years of unspoken feelings. For a heartbeat, the world fell away. It wasn't loud or frantic, it was quiet, intimate, the kind of kiss that spoke more than words ever could. When it ended, I stepped back, breathless, my heart hammering against my ribs. Guilt hit me immediately, sharp and undeniable. I had crossed the line, and there was no undoing it. But beneath the guilt was something else, something I hadn't felt in a long time. A sense of being wanted, of being alive. That scared me more than anything, a moody cinematic illustration of two women standing close in a dimly lit gym. One is younger, athletic, wearing casual sportswear. Her expression conflicted but drawn in. The other is older, confident, dressed in a coach's jacket, giving a subtle but intense gaze. Their hands almost touch, the tension between them clear but unspoken. In the background, blurred shadows suggest secrecy and forbidden attraction. The atmosphere is emotional, dramatic, and romantic, with soft lighting highlighting their faces while the rest of the scene fades into mystery. I never expected to see her again. And yet there she was, standing in front of me like no time had passed at all. My old coach, the woman who had once been the center of my admiration, the person I secretly looked up to in ways I couldn't explain back then. Years ago, when I was still in college, she was more than just a coach. She was someone who pushed me harder than anyone else, who believed in me when I doubted myself, and whose presence made the long practices feel like something more than drills and exhaustion. Back then I chalked it all up to respect, maybe even idolization, but deep down I knew it had always been something more. A quiet crush I buried and locked away. Life had moved forward. I had grown older, graduated, and found myself in a stable relationship with someone who had been by my side for years. My partner and I shared a home, a routine, and a sense of comfort that comes with time. But somewhere along the way that spark had dimmed. We loved each other, yes, but it was the kind of love that felt more like duty than passion, a rhythm of day-to-day life that rarely changed. I thought that was just what relationships became after a while, and I told myself it was enough. Seeing her again disrupted all of that. It happened unexpectedly at the community sports center where I occasionally trained. I was there to keep in shape, nothing more, and suddenly there she was, introduced as a guest trainer for the season. Her smile hadn't changed. Her energy hadn't dimmed. If anything, she seemed even more confident, more grounded, and somehow even more magnetic than I remembered. The moment our eyes met, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't allowed myself to feel in years. It was as if the walls I had built around that part of myself cracked just enough for light to spill through. We exchanged polite greetings, the kind you'd expect after years apart, but beneath my calm words my heart was racing. She remembered me, not just vaguely but in detail. She brought up an old championship game, a joke from the locker room, small things that I had forgotten until she mentioned them. It was disarming, the way she made me feel seen, even after all this time. Walking away that day, I told myself it was harmless. She was just an old coach, a person from my past. But the truth is, something had already shifted. I couldn't shake the way her voice lingered in my mind, or the way I caught myself smiling at the memory of her laugh. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, but deep down I knew I was lying to myself. A part of me had awakened, and with it came questions I wasn't sure I wanted the answers to.